Hey everybody, this is Grace, and that came out loud. Yeah. I thought I'd come out here and do a video before it got too dark. Today is the day of the shortest daylight hours of the year. Yeah. Tomorrow is winter. It's here in north central Texas. It's 61 degrees Fahrenheit at 4:24 p.m. Much better than we had been having. Anyway, I want to talk about something that I've had this feeling on and off for years now. And I'm going to talk about being online. Okay. Now, I started my original YouTube channel 6 years ago. It was 6 years in August. And I've seen this online, watching videos and everything, off and on. I've seen different people. It happened to different people. And for some, it becomes kind of like a bit of lather, rinse, repeat. But overall, I think it's something that really, they just worsen. And that's what this is all about. It's about when somebody, basically adults, these are all adults, watching them on video. It doesn't have to be YouTube, but watching them for a period of time, maybe years, and they start off good, just pleasant people, nothing special, no conspiracy theories, no crazy thoughts, no any of that, just like regular people around my age, maybe younger even. I usually watch people around my age. I'm 57. Usually watch people that are in their 40s and 50s and 40s up, mid-40s up. I'll get it out in a minute. But I've watched some that were younger here and there, but very seldom. Anyway, people I can relate to, went through the same kind of things as I do. I have and I do. But these are people who, like I said, they start off good. They start off just pleasant, just kind of a regular thing. Some do vlogs, video blogs, just showing what's going on with their lives. Some have a theme, and so on. Or some do a craft, some sell things, some do many things. Okay. But they kind of like telling stories of their lives, or, this thing. Anyway, yeah, they start off that way. But as time goes by, and it can be, like I said, years, it can be slow, it can be fast, they basically start to worsen. Something about their personality just starts getting worse and worse and worse until they seem like they're having an adult major meltdown. Like a child throwing a temper tantrum, but as an adult. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, now basically what I have seen some of them do is, like I said, over time they change. It's just like they morph. Maybe it's just more difficult for them to keep their mask in place because their behaviors are kind of like narcissistic, histrionic, and maybe some of you have heard about they wear a mask until basically it slips, and then their true colors come shining through, the true person. And it's hard for them to keep up a persona of, like they're real good, decent people. And as time goes by, especially if they do like live stream videos, especially, that's what I've noticed. And they have people interacting. People are doing the the chatting, in real time. And they will get, like some of them will get very angry at the people who are watching them. And pardon me, every time I come out here, I'm in the house, I'm fine. I come out here and I lose my voice. I have allergy attack, so forgive my voice. But me coughing or whatever. But anyway, my voice going in and out. So anyway, I have seen this so many times, so many people. I don't name names. I don't pinpoint anybody. I'm not saying this one or that one. I've just seen it happen. Various people, like I said, over these years. And of course, as a sociologist, I wonder, what is it? What's causing it? It's not going to be the same thing for each one. Not my experience in life. It differs from person to person. And, it could be anything from, like, the way the people treat them. Like, the people think, like the narcissistic people, some of them think that they're superior. They know more, they're better, they know more than the scientists, they know more than anybody. And if somebody comes up against them, some people call it narcissistic injury. I call it that somebody bruised their ego is what we always called it. And then they go into what I call a fit of rage. Some people call it narcissistic rage. And, just boom. And I also wonder about that because I think that it's also like for some people who have borderline personality disorder, or have borderline characteristics and without having to have a disorder. I'm not doing any diagnosing, so we really shouldn't unless, you're actually a counselor or whatever it is and where you live that they can legally do it. And anyway, so I'm not doing that. Okay, anyway, they'll get all huffy, an old term, get angry and upset, and then they just boom, and blow up and have that fit of rage. And they might do things, and this is as time goes by. At first, they're trying to be on their best behavior. So if somebody says something negative to them, they just kind of blow it off, we think, for a moment. But it just it builds up over time. And this can happen to anybody. Some people get to a point where they say, forget this. But these know that they stick to it because they might have something to gain. Like, they are often, not all of them, none of this is all of them. One size doesn't fit all. They're charismatic. And they become popular. They're master manipulators. The ones I'm talking about. So that they wind up having something to benefit from it, some kind of finance, something. Often it's money or attention or whatever it is they're seeking, and they get popular. So when people start coming against them, oh boy, major temper tantrum. Eventually, okay, it builds up, and eventually that mask slips, and boom, they go off. Now, some of us, may recognize this from the beginning, but they might have some kind of information that we want to know, and we don't see anybody else that has the same kind of information that we're trying to learn about. Of course, I don't really believe in half the crap that I see. I believe in 2% of what I see on the internet. I used to say that. That was years ago. I've been on the internet, what you can call that, or the beginning of it, for 30 years, since 1990, which you might call it. But, this person might have something about them that you want to know from them, or whatever it is. So you watch them whenever, but overall, across the years, but you can see it. Some people can see it. Some people can't. Some people are drawn in. Some people they're flying monkeys. Okay, man, allergies crazy today. But like I said, they get to this point where they start to show like a meltdown. They just it's like they, in a sense, that they can't control their anger. Anything triggers them, and many of us may know that narcissistic people, when they're in this kind of thing, they say, you caused it, you triggered this, it's your fault. No, it's not. But you're trying to get me this way, whatever it is. And some people might be doing that, but anything might set them off, and it's not the other person's fault. But have you ever done this? And you watch the person, and you see that happening, and you wonder where this is going. And also, you may see, behaviors. Not diagnosing anybody, but you see odd behaviors. And if you know anything about, like personality disorders, mood disorders, whatever kind of disorders, not necessarily that one, but different kinds of disorders. And from the DSM, you're not diagnosing, you're not the professional, you just know of them for whatever reason, and you start to wonder, man, this person has a lot. And that is one of the things, by the way, like I say, Psych 101, the first class, and you take psychology at a university, they teach you, it's just because a person has the symptoms, it doesn't mean that they have the disorder. Okay, they also teach you, you don't go around diagnosing people. Okay, that's the second one. But a lot of people do. I've seen it in my life. There was also something they said, my degrees are in psychology and sociology, and like in psychology, we heard everybody thinks they're a psychologist, and then in sociology, we heard everybody thinks they're a sociologist. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that could go across for historians, for philosophers, for you get it. But anyway, I mean, some of it you can just sit there and you say, wow, this person has this, I mean, not this disorder, but this behavior seems familiar. This one could fall into that. And sometimes it can get quite frightening to see. Well, not even, I wouldn't know, well, maybe frightening is the word. Because you worry this person is just going off and continues, comes back for more, comes back to do more, and is bullying and insulting and harassing and so forth along that line that the viewers. And like I said, I've seen this not just in one person across the years. And yeah, I mean, I've seen that people, in my face-to-face world since I was a child, that kind of behavior. That is scary, really, to me. Okay, now a shortened version of what I just said is, have you ever watched somebody you don't really like, but there's something that they have, some kind of information, something about them that you like, that you want to find out about, that you can't find out from other people, and so you watch them and then you see them have a meltdown. Now, okay, then do you know of like another or other people, not in the chat, but people who also make videos that they notice the same thing, and you start to wonder, why isn't anybody doing something? But what could you do? Or do you even think along the line about, just imagine if whatever it is where you live, a counselor, a psychiatrist, a therapist, whatever it is, the legal thing where you live, to diagnose. But what if they had clients who made videos, and they actually took the time to watch the videos and saw this kind of thing? I think that would be very helpful for the counselor. Let's just say counselor. It could be whatever, like I said. I think that would be very helpful, but would they do it? Really, free, no charge from the client. That people might call patients, but it's really client. What? At least here, it's client. But I mean, imagine what they could learn. I mean, you go in for 50 minutes, whatever it is, where you are, and have them, you go in there for 50 minutes, a person does. What are they going to learn out of 50 minutes? Where they could learn after, say, 50 hours of watching this person, or watch, here, there, go on, and watch and see what really it could be. And I'm worried about what's going on in this world. I mean, it has progressed a lot since I was a child. Counseling and that kind of therapy and all. It has definitely progressed, but I think it's still behind. And there's still things that need to be worked out, or we wouldn't live in a country like this or a world like this. I'm not blaming them. I'm saying it needs to be pushed more somehow, some way. Find some ways. Advance more. We were, I think it's all been behind so bad. Because like when I was a child, my mother, I think that she actually had, it's my mother, she's passed years ago. But I think she had agoraphobia. She did not want to leave the house. She stayed in her one room. She was terrified to drive on the highway. She was terrified to leave the house. She only did when she had to. And I had actually experienced it myself twice in my life. I experienced when I was, 27 and 33. But there's more to that story, and I'm not saying this is for anybody else, but the doctor put me on, one doctor, when I was 35, put me on metformin for type 2 diabetes, and that all went away. All of it. My panic attacks, all of this. It was like I went from the wallflower to there I was on stage, not in a histrionic way. I've seen too many of those. But anyway, even doctors. I mean, I'm so tired of going into doctors and they're in the office for like 2 minutes. I'm serious, 2 minutes, and they're out the door. how can they learn anything about what's really going on with the patient? And how can the patient talk about, I remember writing lists and try to talk so fast, so I could get all of it out, but then they could say, oh, I'm going to go look for let me go check something, and they wouldn't come back. They'd get their nurse in 2 minutes. And then I feel this way a bit about counselors, 15 minutes at a time, maybe once a month, maybe even if it's once every week for a few weeks, or till the person gets tired, if we're not getting anywhere. How much that would be to be, like if you knew the person had a, say like a YouTube channel or a Facebook, and they did videos or whatever, how much more they could learn really quick. Of course, this could be just their persona, their online persona, but even from that, there's a possibility. Maybe there needs to be a counselor for people who, just one counselor, not just one, but many for people who are online, and who are from influencers just to your daily vlogger, okay, or your somewhat daily vlogger, video blogs, yeah. Okay. Anyway, there does needs to be something, and like I said, 30 years for me. I was one of those that we connected through Telnet from my computer at home to somebody else's, at their home to somebody else's. I was way back then. Like I've said in other videos, they called us a dirty 4-letter word. At least that's how the outsiders saw it. The dirty 4-letter word was geek. Back then, yeah. It was bad. And we called, it was a group of hundreds of people. And it expanded. But we called them non-modems. People had modems back then, not Wi-Fi, modems. I remember my first computer from 1982 had a 300 baud modem. If that doesn't mean anything to you, well, oh well. Anyway, but I've seen this over the years that people can get, more recently, last decade plus, people doing videos. But what it does to the psyche, what it does to the people who are watching, the viewers, especially when there are people who are, like I said, narcissistic, histrionic, whatever it is, and they're throwing out misinformation, disinformation. They're going, the meltdown can be that, but it can also be something like they go from, which we know it could just be their mask. They go from thinking, I wonder about this, to where it just all the way boom over, let's say, a couple, 2 or 3 years, whatever, to where they're this major conspiracy theorist. It's major like paranoia that everybody's out to get them, everybody's out to get us, everybody's out to do this, everybody's out to do that. There's something going on, and yeah, sure, right, this kind of thing, and it's like, they're always in their everything. When I say they're, everything, I'm talking about their whole persona becomes this. And there's very little else left in them that they talk about besides their view on how everybody is doing this to them. Everybody's doing that to them. The government's after them. Seriously. Major conspiracy theories, if you can call them that, theories. Major conspiracy that they see all around, everywhere. And to me, that's a bit of a meltdown, too. And I think, in my view, and I definitely could be wrong on this, is what they're saying and how they're seeing things and how they're viewing things and how they're twisting things in their own mind. It starts to not, to other people, kind of, like some people just flat out tell them you're wrong and give them real information, but it starts to add up to where it doesn't add up to, in their minds, cognitive dissonance, and that along this line, it just doesn't match what they're thinking and feeling, doesn't match the reality that they're seeing, and then they keep trying to twist and turn that reality topsy-turvy, the whole upside down, the whole twisted around. And the more they try, the less they can. Okay? And it just gets to them. Okay, and back to this, like I said, somebody's watching them. Now, I'm not totally naive to this. I know that there are people out there who would be, or can be, and are, for some. Actually, this is something they do. But I think a lot of it, at least as far as I know, I could be wrong. Somebody tell me if you know more about that and actually can give facts, not just misinformation. But there are, people who are counselors, but it's more for the addiction side. And I could have, a few years ago, I considered it, and I could have easily done it, but I didn't really want to focus on the addiction and addictive behaviors and of people who get online. Now, that's an area that there is, okay, but definitely. But for those who are just seeing these kinds of behaviors, man, I tell you, I'm so tired of coming out here and this happening. But the people who actually, could be, because they're involved in it also. They are ones who do videos. They're also, like if it's on YouTube, they're YouTubers too. They're YouTube content creators. They have their own videos. And they're actually counselors. And the people who they're seeing come to them, and want to get counseling. They understand certain things about it already because they're YouTubers too. They might understand how people are about the trolls, the haters, and how many of these people who have these really terrible behaviors, when they're called out, they will call people haters and trolls, when no, it's really people who are saying you're wrong, and you are wrong. Like this. And that they have, now an outsider, someone who doesn't even ever get online, hasn't watched a YouTube video ever, how well would they be able to do counseling, do therapy on someone who is? And I really want to know. Like, YouTube has, not from YouTube, but not, or Facebook, or wherever you see videos. It's not just YouTube. It's many different ones I've seen over the years. But if they have people like that, I'm not saying that YouTube set them up. I'm saying that they're there. Okay, and that's their service. Now, I've seen, and really, if you ever watch my videos, you know my pet peeve about, what do they call themselves? Oh my goodness. The people who put out that they're, these, because they've experienced it, because they've experienced narcissistic abuse, they can, no, you can't. Okay. I've got a different term in my head, and it's not letting go, but life coaches. I kept having life enrichment in my head, but life coaches. Now, I'm not saying that about all coaches, life coaches, not at all, but the ones who, anyway. But I have never seen someone who is the person there for, or at least I haven't seen any. There might be many. I have not seen any who are there for others, content creators, whatever platform. Really, I haven't. Okay, and I'm not saying that they're just there for those, but what about the people that they do harm to? Now, I take that back. Think about this. I think I have seen people who tried it, but what they're the ones that say they're life coaches and stuff, and they say, well, you just come to me and we'll talk it through and I can help you. Anyway, better not go down that line. Try not to. But, actual counselors therapists, people who legally have a right to diagnose behaviors, legally have a right to do counseling. Wherever you live, it's not the same everywhere. Okay, that's why I'm saying that. And go from there, to give them whatever it is. I've never seen any, really. So, but I think that it would be, now to get back to this, for me it's quite disturbing. Okay, it has been all these years. Very disturbing to see people just lose it. So, that's an old-fashioned way of putting it. They just lost it. Totally lost it. Online. There they are. And now some of these might not be the people who are narcissistic or histrionic or whatever. They just they just lose it. I have. I haven't totally. I remember when I think that's when I had what too many people are getting these days, and hopefully the vaccine will help. But back in February, I went off on a video. It was not live stream, but I went off and called two people POSs, and I didn't say POS. That is so unlike me, so very unlike me. And in 6 years, if anybody who's watched me 6 years, they know it's very unlike me. And but yeah, some things, we all have our moments. I cannot say, there is no person, I can say this, no, there's nobody who's perfect. There's nobody who can keep, when you're online, I've been for 30 years now, there is a whole lot. You do develop a thick skin, like people say, the expression. That's maybe not such a good thing either. There's a point when it's way far. But like I was saying, sometimes it's not the bad people. Sometimes it's good people. And bad things do happen to good people, and they lose it. They just lost it. But then there are these ones that no, these are ones who had the mask on. It slipped, and their true colors started shining through, and oh boy, they go crazy. They hurt people, make threats to people. Some of them will go into temporary hiding, find some reason that they need to go, and usually they play the victim of that. For whatever reason, they have to go into hiding. And then when they come back, they say, oh, they're going to be good, they're not going to do that, and they do it for a little while, and then, as you can imagine, lather, rinse, repeat. And really, like I was saying, it's very disturbing to see. And one of the things that's bothered me is, with some of them, one of the reasons I would continue watching was because they were doing stuff like to me and other people that some I know, and like I said, it was very disturbing. It's been very disturbing, and I thought, if I was one of those, I was telling Adam this yesterday. He says, well, everybody has a limit. It's true. But Adam knows some of it. He's actually seen it. So one of them, he even told me, why is this person doing that? Just like to you? But, there's just so much a person can tolerate. I don't like the word tolerate. But, yeah, and it's like, I think that's a whole topic to itself. If a person is, a social behavioral scientist, I'm a social and behavioral scientist, and they see somebody losing it, but at the same time, when you think they deserve it, see, that's a whole topic, seriously, if not many. But anyway, I think this is getting long. And hey, it didn't get dark in the meanwhile, so maybe it's not too long. But losing my voice, like I said, it always happens. Anyway, what do you think? I'll talk to y'all in another video. Bye.